When love becomes caretaking. I knew something was wrong the moment she walked through the door. Not because she looked sick, but because she looked prepared to be sick. Her makeup was gone, not carelessly wiped but intentionally erased. Her hair was tied loosely, the way women do when they want to look fragile. Her shoulders drooped like she was carrying pain she didn't want to explain. She leaned against the doorframe, breathing shallowly. "David," she whispered, my name barely leaving her lips. I rushed to her. "Emily? What happened?" She shook her head slowly, like even words would hurt. I don't feel well." That was it. No drama. No tears. Just 4 words that would quietly destroy my life. The woman I trusted. Emily and I had been married for 11 years. Not perfect years, but honest ones. Or so I believed. She was a high school counselor. Soft-spoken. Calm. The kind of woman who remembered birthdays and donated old clothes without telling anyone. I worked in logistics, long hours, average pay, steady life. We didn't fight much. We didn't laugh as much as we used to either. But I thought that was marriage. Comfort replacing excitement. That night, I helped her to the couch. She felt warm. Not feverish, but warm like someone who'd been nervous. "I've been feeling off for weeks," she said quietly. "Dizzy, tired, nauseous. Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. She looked away. "I didn't want to worry you." Those words hit me hard. Because they sounded exactly like something a loving wife would say. Diagnosis without answers. Over the next few days, Emily became weaker. Or at least, she appeared to. She slept more. Ate less. Spent long hours staring at nothing. Sometimes she'd press her hand to her stomach like something was twisting inside her. I took time off work. I cooked soup she barely touched. I cleaned the house. I stayed up at night listening to her breathe. At the clinic, the doctor ordered tests. Blood work. Hormonal panels. Imaging. Nothing. Alarming. But nothing clear either. She may be dealing with stress-induced symptoms, the doctor said. We'll wait for full results. Emily squeezed my hand tightly. "What if it's something serious?" she whispered. I looked her in the eyes and said words I meant with my soul. "Then we'll face it together." Her eyes filled with tears. I thought they were tears of gratitude. I was wrong. A husband's devotion. Weeks passed. Emily stopped going to work. Claimed she couldn't concentrate. Her phone was always on silent now. She said the light hurt her eyes. Sometimes, when I entered the room quietly, she'd jump like she hadn't heard me coming. "You scared me," she'd say. I apologized every time. I started working from home, even though it cut my pay. Bills piled up. But love doesn't check bank balances. Love shows up. I bathed her when she said she felt weak. I brushed her hair. I warmed her feet at night. Sometimes she'd hold my arm and cry. "I'm sorry you're stuck with me like this." I kissed her forehead. "You're not a burden. You're my wife." She'd close her eyes after that. Turn away. The first crack. One night, I woke up around 2:30 a.m. The bed beside me was empty. I found her in the living room, sitting on the couch, phone blowing in her hands. She looked startled when she saw me. "I couldn't sleep," she said quickly. Her phone screen went dark. "Who were you talking to?" I asked gently. She hesitated. "Just a support forum. People with similar symptoms." I nodded. Of course. Why would I doubt her? Another woman's doubt. Across town, another marriage was cracking quietly. Rachel had been married to Mark for 14 years. Mark was a senior medical sales manager, charming, confident, always traveling for work. Lately, he was distracted. Guarded. His phone never left his hand. He took calls outside. He showered the moment he came home. Rachel wasn't dramatic. She didn't snoop. But she noticed patterns. And patterns don't lie. One evening, Mark mentioned Emily's name casually. Emily from the counseling department had some health scare, he said. Stress-related. Rachel paused. Since when do you know counselors from other districts? Mark shrugged. Industry events. Something in his voice was too smooth. Too rehearsed. Medical results arrive. 2 weeks later, a thick envelope arrived at our house. Emily froze when she saw it. Let me open it later, she said quickly. I nodded. But later never came. The envelope disappeared. When I asked about it, she said the doctor had called and said everything was inconclusive. That word followed us everywhere. Inconclusive. Meanwhile, Rachel sat in her car outside Mark's office one afternoon, waiting to surprise him with lunch. She saw him walk out with a woman. A pale woman. A woman leaning on his arm. A woman Rachel had never seen before. They didn't kiss. They didn't need to. The way they looked at each other told the story. Rachel followed them. Not in anger, but in disbelief. They entered a diagnostic clinic. Rachel parked. And waited. The paper that changed everything. Inside the clinic, a receptionist called out a name. Emily Carter. Rachel's breath caught. That night, fate intervened. Mark left his work bag open on the kitchen chair. Inside it, a folded medical report. Rachel unfolded it with shaking hands. It wasn't a diagnosis of illness. It was proof of an affair. Dates. Test reasons. Confidential notes. And one line burned into her memory. Patient admits symptoms exaggerated to conceal ongoing extramarital relationship. Rachel sat down slowly. Somewhere across the city, I tucked Emily into bed and whispered, I'm not going anywhere. She turned her face to the wall. And said nothing. When truth meets dignity. Rachel didn't sleep that night. She sat at the dining table, the medical report spread out in front of her like a crime scene photo. Every word felt sharp. Clinical. Cold. No emotion. Just facts. And facts were far crueler than suspicion. Mark hadn't just cheated. He had helped another woman fake an illness, turning 2 marriages into lies. Rachel folded the paper carefully, as if it were fragile. Her hands weren't shaking anymore. That scared her. The man who still believed. The next morning, I woke before dawn to make Emily tea. She was curled up in bed, facing the wall. How are you feeling today? I asked softly. A little better, she said. Her voice was steady. Too steady. I smiled anyway. That's good. I'll cancel my meeting and stay home. She turned to look at me then. No, she said quickly. You should go. I'll be fine. For a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Not love. Relief. I missed it. Rachel reaches out. Rachel didn't scream. She didn't throw things. She did something far more dangerous. She planned. Using the name on the report, she searched online. It didn't take long. Emily Carter. School counselor. Married. Husband, David Carter. Rachel stared at my profile picture. Me and Emily at the beach, smiling, arms around each other. The caption read, Grateful for my wife. Life partner. Best friend. Rachel closed her eyes. I'm so sorry, she whispered to me, though I couldn't hear her. She sent a message. Not accusatory. Not emotional. Just 5 words. I think our spouses know each other. The message that shook me. I read the message 3 times. At first, I thought it was spam. Then confusion. Then something cold settled in my chest. I replied, I'm not sure what you mean. Her response came almost instantly. Please. We need to talk. Woman to man. Wife to husband. Emily called from the bedroom. David? Coming, I said, my heart racing. I stared at my phone. And for the first time since Emily came home. Sick? I felt fear. The meeting. Rachel chose a quiet cafe near the clinic. Neutral ground. She arrived early. Sat straight. Composed. When I walked in, she stood. David? I nodded. She didn't smile. I'm Rachel. We sat. She slid an envelope across the table. I won't tell you what's inside, she said. You deserve to read it yourself. I hesitated. Then opened it. The words blurred. But one sentence cut through everything. Symptoms exaggerated to conceal ongoing extramarital relationship. I looked up. Rachel's eyes were glassy but steady. I'm married to Mark, she said. I believe your wife is involved with him. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to stand up and walk out. Instead, I whispered. No, she's sick. Rachel nodded slowly. That's what I thought too. About my marriage. Love doesn't break loudly. I drove home in silence. The house smelled like soup. Emily was on the couch, blanket wrapped around her. You're back early, she said. I watched her closely. Her color was good. Her hands steady. Her phone face down beside her. Emily, I said quietly. She stiffened. Did you lie to me? Her eyes darted. About what? About being sick. Silence. Heavy. Crushing. Then she started crying. Not loud. Controlled. I didn't mean for it to happen like this, she said. I was confused. Lonely. You were always working. I felt something inside me crack. Not anger. Trust. Was any of it real? I asked. The weakness? The pain? She looked down. I didn't think it would go this far. That was her answer. Mark falls apart. Across town, Mark wasn't as composed. Rachel had left the report on the bed. When he saw it, he exploded. You went through my things? He shouted. Rachel stood calm. You went through our marriage. Mark tried excuses. Stress. Mistakes. Meaningless. Rachel listened. Then said quietly. You let another man ruin his life to protect your affair. Mark froze. That was the moment he knew. This wasn't fixable. 2 paths, 1 truth. I slept on the couch that night. Emily cried behind the bedroom door. For the first time, I didn't rush to comfort her. Rachel texted me once. I'm sorry. I wish you had never learned this way. I replied. Thank you for telling me the truth. And I meant it. Because truth hurts. But lies destroy. Kindness is the hardest verdict. I didn't confront Emily again. Not that night. Not the next morning. I did something worse. I treated her with the same kindness I always had. And that destroyed her. When anger refuses to come. Emily expected shouting. Tears. Accusations. Threats. She expected me to collapse. Instead, I made breakfast. I placed a plate in front of her. You don't have to pretend anymore, I said gently. But you can eat. She stared at me like I'd just spoken a foreign language. You're not angry, she asked. I looked at her. I am, I said honestly. But anger won't heal me. Or you. Her hands started shaking. That was the first time she truly looked sick. The woman who could have destroyed everything. Rachel could have gone nuclear. She had screenshots. Reports. Dates. She could have exposed them publicly. Instead, she requested a meeting. All four of us. Neutral place. Lawyers present. No shouting. Mark arrived arrogant. Emily arrived pale. I arrived calm. Rachel arrived powerful. She slid copies of the medical report across the table. Then she did something no one expected. She stood up. I'm filing for divorce, she said. Quietly. Cleanly. I want nothing except the truth on record. Mark laughed nervously. That's it? Rachel turned to Emily. You used illness to justify betrayal, she said softly. Do you know who paid for that? Emily opened her mouth. Rachel didn't let her speak. Your husband. With his sleep. His money. His dignity. Rachel turned to me. You loved her honestly, she said. I'm sorry. That was when Emily broke. When guilt finally wakes up. Emily sobbed. Not for losing Mark. Not for being caught. But because no one punished her. There were no insults. No revenge. Just consequences. Mark lost his job quietly 2 months later. Ethics violation. Emily resigned from her counseling position. Not fired. Ashamed. She moved out on her own. I helped her pack. That part confused everyone. The question everyone asked me. Why are you? Two wounded people who understood silence. Months passed. I rebuilt my life. Slowly. Quietly. One morning, I woke up and realized something shocking. I wasn't angry anymore. I was free. The final truth. A year later, I received a letter. From Emily. It said, you were the last honest thing in my life. Losing you was my real illness. Kindness was the diagnosis I deserved. I folded the letter. And let it go. Because love should never have to pretend to survive.